Camp Pendleton, California, September 1967. The Marine Corps base bakes under a punishing afternoon sun. Heat shimmers above the concrete. Dust drifts through the air. Drill sergeants shout commands somewhere in the distance. Boots pound pavement in perfect rhythm. This is the real military, not the version you see in movies. A black Porsche rolls slowly through the front gate. Behind the wheel is Bruce Lee. The guards recognize him immediately. A quick glance, a nod, the gate lifts. They wave him through. He's been invited by the base commander. Tomorrow I'll give a martial arts demonstration. Show the Marines some techniques. Boost morale. A cultural exchange between East and West. But that's tomorrow. Today he's just exploring the base. Bruce parks near the physical training facility. The building is large and plain. No decorations, no attempt at comfort. Just concrete, steel, and function. Inside, the gym stretches wide and open. Basketball courts on one side. Rows of weights and benches. A boxing ring in the center. Heavy bags hanging from steel chains. Speed bags snapping back and forth. Pull-up bars bolted to the walls. Everything here has one purpose. Combat readiness. The air smells like sweat, rubber mats, and hard work. Bruce changes in the locker room. Black shorts. A military training shirt someone handed him earlier. Barefoot, as always. He never trains in shoes. He begins warming up, stretching, loosening his shoulders, rolling his neck. Then he starts moving. Shadow boxing. Light footwork. Short bursts of kicks and punches. Smooth. Fast. Effortless. A few Marines notice. They whisper to each other. That's Bruce Lee, the kung fu guy from television. The Green Hornet had just started airing. His name is beginning to spread. The Marines watch quietly. No one interrupts. Military discipline keeps them at a distance. Bruce steps up to a heavy bag. His fists explode into motion. Fast combinations. Sharp kicks. Spinning strikes. The bag swings violently, but every movement is controlled. Every strike precise. Not wild power. Calculated violence. Bruce is completely locked into his training. He doesn't notice the gym slowly filling up behind him. More Marines walk in. Then more. Word spreads fast on a military base. Bruce Lee is in the gym. 20 Marines now stand along the wall watching in silence. Curious, impressed, but no one approaches. After half an hour, Bruce stops. He grabs a bottle of water, breathing steady. That's when he notices them. 20 pairs of eyes staring back. He smiles and raises a hand in greeting. They wave back. One Marine finally steps forward, tall, about 6'2". Broad shoulders. Clean haircut. The posture of a career soldier. Everything about him says Marine. Mr. Lee. His voice is polite, respectful. Bruce turns. Yes? I am Corporal James Sullivan. Just wanted to say I'm a big fan. Watched the Green Hornet premiere last week. Thank you, Bruce says with a grin. They begin talking. Easy conversation. Sullivan explains he's from Boston. Joined the Marines at 18. 3 years in. Planning to stay for the long haul. Bruce studies him. You train martial arts? He asks. A little, Sullivan says. Mostly what they teach us here. Some boxing when I was younger. You box? Used to. Long time ago. Bruce tilts his head. Show me your stance. Sullivan hesitates, then drops into position. Hands up, chin tucked, weight balanced perfectly. Bruce notices immediately. That's not beginner boxing. That's real boxing. That's more than a little, Bruce says. Sullivan smiles modestly. I competed for a few years before joining the Marines. They sit on the edge of the ring talking about fighting, training, and philosophy. Minutes pass. Eventually Bruce stands. A playful grin spreads across his face. You know something? He says. What? We should test your boxing. Sullivan laughs. Test it? Bruce steps into the middle of the ring. Yeah. He gestures for Sullivan to join him. Go ahead. Bruce raises his hands. Punch me. Corporal James Sullivan stands at the edge of the boxing ring, looking at Bruce Lee like he isn't sure this is real. Bruce is already in the center of the ring. Barefoot, relaxed, hands up, waiting. Come on, Bruce says again. One punch. Your best shot. Sullivan climbs through the ropes slowly. The gym is quieter now. Most of the Marines have drifted away to their own workouts. A few still glance over, curious about what the famous martial artist is doing in the ring with a Marine. Sullivan steps forward. He drops into a boxing stance automatically. Left foot forward, hands up, chin tucked. Bruce notices immediately. Clean stance, balanced. This Marine knows how to fight. Sullivan still looks unsure. Mr. Lee,
I really don't think this is a good idea.
Bruce smiles. Why not? Because you're a guest here. And? And if I hurt you, that's going to be a problem. Bruce laughs lightly. You won't hurt me. Sullivan doesn't smile. Bruce raises his guard slightly. Come on. Real punch. Sullivan exhales slowly. All right. But light contact. Bruce shakes his head immediately. Number. No. Real punch. Sullivan studies him carefully now. You're serious. Completely serious. Bruce taps his own jaw. Right here. Full commitment. Sullivan hesitates for another moment. Then training takes over. He resets his stance. Bruce bounces lightly on the balls of his feet, relaxed, almost playful. Whenever you're ready, Bruce says. Sullivan throws a jab. Fast. Bruce slips it easily. His head moves just an inch to the side. The punch cuts through empty air. Bruce grins. That's not your best shot. Sullivan lowers his hands slightly. I told you I don't want to hurt you. Bruce waves him forward. Real punch. Sullivan resets again. This time his body language changes. The hesitation fades. If Bruce Lee wants a real punch, he's going to get one. Sullivan plants his feet. Weight shifts. Right shoulder turns slightly. Bruce watches the movement. Calm, focused. Sullivan explodes forward. Across. Full power. Perfect boxing mechanics. The hips rotate first. Then the shoulder. The first drive straight down the center line. Fast, heavy, professional. Bruce starts to slip. His head begins to move, but halfway through the motion, he stops. For a split second, Bruce decides not to avoid it. The punch lands clean. Right on the jaw. Crack! Bruce's head snaps back sharply. The impact echoes inside the quiet gym. For a moment, everything freezes. Bruce's knees buckle. His balance disappears. And suddenly Bruce Lee drops to the canvas. Not unconscious, but clearly dropped. He lands sitting down, one hand touching the mat. Sullivan's face drains of color. Oh my God. He rushes forward immediately. Mr. Lee, I'm so sorry. Bruce sits there for a moment. Hand on his jaw. Testing it. Moving it slowly side to side. The gym suddenly feels very quiet. Sullivan looks like he's about to panic. I didn't mean. Bruce starts laughing. Not a small laugh. A real one. Loud. He looks up at Sullivan, still sitting on the canvas. That, he chuckles again, was a hell of a punch. Sullivan blinks in confusion. You're not mad? Bruce shakes his head. Number. He stands up slowly. His jaw is already starting to swell slightly. That was perfect. Sullivan still looks uneasy. You told me to throw it, but I shouldn't have. Bruce waves that away. No, no. He taps his jaw again. That's exactly what I wanted. Sullivan relaxes a little. Bruce studies him now. Seriously. Where did you learn to punch like that? Sullivan hesitates. Like I said, I boxed a little. Bruce raises an eyebrow. That's not a little. He gestures toward the ring. That was professional. Sullivan rubs the back of his neck, embarrassed. Well, okay. He sighs slightly. I boxed more than a little. Bruce crosses his arms. I figured. Sullivan shrugs. Before I joined the Marines, I fought amateur. Bruce waits. How amateur? Sullivan finally admits it. I was New England Golden Gloves champion. Bruce blinks. Sullivan continues. 3 years in a row. Bruce stares at him. I had 17 fights. He pauses. 115. Bruce slowly nods. You're a Golden Gloves champion. Sullivan shrugs modestly. Was. That was before the Marines. Bruce touches his jaw again. Then he smiles. And you didn't think to mention that? Sullivan gives a small smile back. You didn't ask. Bruce laughs again. Just a Marine. He gestures toward Sullivan's fist. Who punches like a truck. Sullivan exhales in relief. I really am sorry. Bruce shakes his head once more. Don't be. He steps forward. Eyes bright now. That was honest. He points between them. That's how you learn. Then Bruce grins. And now? He rolls his shoulders slowly. It's my turn. Bruce rolls his shoulders slowly, loosening the stiffness in his neck. His jaw still aches slightly where Sullivan's punch landed, but Bruce is smiling. Across from him, Corporal James Sullivan is still catching his breath, trying to process what just happened. He just dropped Bruce Lee. Even if Bruce seems perfectly fine now, the moment still feels surreal. Bruce steps back toward the center of the ring. He gestures casually. Your turn is finished. Sullivan raises an eyebrow.
My turn?
Bruce nods. You hit me. He lifts a finger. Now I hit you. Sullivan's expression changes. You want to hit me? Bruce tilts his head.
Fair is fair.
Sullivan exhales slowly. He should probably refuse, but Bruce is already bouncing lightly on his feet again, relaxed, confident.
Same rules.
Bruce says. One strike. Sullivan studies him carefully. Full power? Bruce nods. Full power. And I defend? However you want. Sullivan thinks for a moment. Then he nods once. All right. He raises his hands again and drops back into his boxing stance. Left foot forward, hands protecting his face, chin tucked behind his lead shoulder. Bruce watches carefully. His expression changes slightly now. The playful grin fades. Now he's studying, analyzing. Boxing guard, strong, compact, hands tight to the face. Good discipline. Bruce circles slowly around him, light steps, bare feet sliding softly across the canvas. Sullivan turns with him, maintaining distance, eyes focused. Bruce makes a small movement with his shoulder. A feint. Sullivan reacts instinctively. His gloves tighten around his face. Bruce nods slightly. Smart. Experienced. Bruce feints again. A quick twitch of the hand. Sullivan doesn't fall for it this time. His guard stays solid. Bruce continues circling, watching, studying the rhythm, the breathing, the tension in Sullivan's shoulders. Then Bruce sees it. A tiny shift. Every time Bruce moves his hands, Sullivan's eyes follow them. Hands. 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 Bruce smiles slightly. That's the tell. Sullivan is watching for punches. He's thinking like a boxer. Bruce suddenly steps forward. Sullivan tightens his guard immediately, expecting a strike. Bruce's shoulders twitch again. Another feint. Sullivan's gloves rise even tighter around his face. For a split second, his attention locks onto Bruce's hands, and that's when Bruce moves. Not with his fists, with his leg. His right knee lifts instantly. Before Sullivan can process the motion, Bruce fires a side kick. Fast, explosive, direct. The kick cuts through the air in a straight line towards Sullivan's head. Sullivan reacts instantly. His instincts are good. He leans backward, trying to pull away. But Bruce is faster, much faster. The heel of Bruce's foot connects with Sullivan's chin. Not full power. Bruce pulls the strike slightly at the last moment, but it still lands clean. Thud. Sullivan's head snaps back. He stumbles 2 steps and grabs the ropes to steady himself. The entire exchange lasts less than a second. Silence fills the ring again. Sullivan touches his chin slowly, eyes wide. What the hell was that? Bruce lowers his leg calmly. Side kick. Sullivan looks stunned. I didn't even see it. Bruce shrugs slightly. That's the idea. Sullivan shakes his head, still trying to replay the moment. I was watching your hands. Bruce nods. Exactly. He gestures towards Sullivan's guard. Boxing teaches you to protect yourself here. Bruce taps his own face. Hands defend punches. Sullivan slowly nods. Bruce points down toward his leg. But Kung Fu uses different tools. Sullivan exhales slowly. That came from nowhere. Bruce smiles slightly. Angles. He steps closer now. In boxing, most attacks travel straight. He moves his fist forward in a straight line. Direct. Powerful. Efficient. Then he lifts his leg slightly. But kicks change the line. Sullivan nods slowly. Understanding. Bruce continues. You were watching my hands. Sullivan sighs. And forgot about your feet. Bruce grins. That's the difference. Sullivan rubs his chin again. That was fast. Bruce shrugs lightly. And your punch was powerful. Sullivan looks up at him. Both of their faces show small signs of damage now. Bruce's jaw is starting to bruise. Sullivan's chin will probably swell by evening. Bruce extends his hand. Are we good? Sullivan looks at it for a moment. Then he takes it. Firm handshake. We're good. He laughs quietly. I still can't believe I just punched Bruce Lee. Bruce chuckles. And I can't believe I let you. They both sit down against the ropes, backs resting on the canvas edge. For a moment, neither of them speaks. Just 2 fighters catching their breath. Then Sullivan shakes his head again. Kick. Bruce raises an eyebrow. What about it? Sullivan smiles. I didn't stand a chance. Bruce grins. That's why you have to experience it. Sullivan looks at him. Experience what? Bruce gestures between them. Real technique. Sullivan nods slowly. The tension from earlier is gone now, replaced by something else. Respect. Real respect. Two fighters from different worlds. One boxer, one martial artist. Both tested. Both hit. Both learned something. And somehow both smiling about it. The next day, the gym at Camp Pendleton is buzzing with activity. 300 Marines are gathered for the official demonstration. Bruce Lee steps onto the mat, poised and confident, performing a series of precise forms. His movements are sharp, controlled, almost theatrical. Boards break with satisfying cracks. Techniques flow seamlessly. The audience claps politely, impressed, but it's all formal, expected. A performance. From the back of the crowd, Sullivan watches closely. He remembers yesterday. The real Bruce. Not this staged, choreographed show. Yesterday in the empty gym, Bruce had been tested.
Kit.
Observed. Honest. That was the Bruce Lee Sullivan respects, the Bruce Lee who teaches, challenges, and learns. After the demonstration, Bruce approaches Sullivan. I meant what I said yesterday, Bruce tells him quietly. Come back. Train with us, with me. Sullivan blinks, surprised. To the base? Yes. Not the demonstration. Real training. No cameras. No press. Just the guys who want to learn, who want to test themselves. Sullivan nods slowly. He understands. It's an opportunity few ever get. Over the next few months, Bruce begins returning to Camp Pendleton. Sometimes monthly, sometimes depending on his schedule. The small gym becomes a secret training ground for 20 to 30 Marines at a time, elite volunteers. Each session is intense. Bruce doesn't perform here. He doesn't entertain. He teaches, corrects, tests. Marines are pushed harder than ever before, learning principles of Wing Chun, Jeet Kune and the philosophy behind every strike. Sullivan assists, bridging the gap between civilian martial artist and disciplined Marine. Together they demonstrate proper technique, share footwork patterns, and run drills that challenge reflexes and awareness. Even when sparring, Bruce expects full effort. He doesn't hold back. Neither does Sullivan. Every punch, every block, every kick is approached with honesty. Mistakes are lessons. Every session reinforces the lesson from that first day, the necessity of humility, the importance of testing oneself, the value of respect between fighters. Months pass, and word spreads quietly through the base. The sessions become legendary, whispered about in barracks and gyms. Marines begin to see a different way of learning. Discipline alone is not enough. Technique and philosophy, when combined, create a fighter who is sharp, aware, and adaptable. Sullivan watches Bruce teach a roundhouse kick to a Marine, noting the subtle angle correction Bruce offers. Adjust your hips, Bruce instructs. Power comes from alignment. Control comes from understanding. Sullivan nods, quietly learning himself. He's not just assisting, he's observing, questioning, absorbing. Bruce encourages questions. The dialogue flows naturally between two minds dedicated to the craft of combat. The friendship deepens. Mutual respect grows with each session. Sullivan admires Bruce's relentless pursuit of truth in martial arts. Bruce admires Sullivan's discipline, insight, and the ease with which he communicates concepts to the Marines. They push each other, challenging, correcting, guiding, and laughing through small mistakes and breakthroughs. From 1967 into early 1970, the pattern solidified. Bruce Lee, the martial artist, becomes a fixture at Camp Pendleton. Sullivan, the Marine, transforms from observer to participant to co-instructor. The lessons go beyond martial arts. They are about life, respect, and pushing limits. This is not showmanship. This is mentorship. Philosophy exchanged through motion, through combat, through challenge. The sessions gain a quiet, legendary status, not because anyone wrote about them, but because those who experience them never forget. And always, at the center of it all, Sullivan remembers that first punch, the test, the humility, honesty. That day taught more than any drill or form. Every session, every technique, every lesson is built on that foundation. Bruce Lee is teaching. Sullivan is learning, and together they are creating something far more enduring than fame or recognition, a culture of real training, trust, and mutual respect. The Camp Pendleton training years become the crucible in which two fighters from completely different worlds find common ground, and a friendship that will last for decades begins to solidify. Early 1970. Sullivan's enlistment comes to an end. He sits in a small diner near Camp Pendleton, staring at his hands, thinking about what comes next. Promotion, re-enlistment, a predictable career path in the Marines. Safe, secure, familiar, but his mind keeps returning to Bruce. To the lessons learned in the gym, to the challenge of testing himself, of learning through honest combat. I don't know, Sullivan admits. I feel like there's something else out there. Something I should be doing. Bruce leans back in his chair. Observe quietly. Like what? I don't know. Maybe teaching, maybe training. Maybe something to help others. Like what you did here. Making martial arts accessible, showing people how to really train. Bruce nods slowly. Understanding. Appreciative. You could do that. You're good with people. Good teacher, patient, clear. I've watched the way you guide Marines. You have a gift. Sullivan exhales. The decision feels heavy, but he knows he's ready for change. He leaves the Marines and moves to Los Angeles. Bruce helps him find work: stunt coordinator, fight choreographer, military consultant for films. Sullivan's skills, honed in the ring and in the Marines, make him valuable. He works steadily, earns well, but never seeks fame. Alongside his film work, Sullivan establishes a small martial arts school, a place designed to help veterans transition to civilian life, to provide structure, purpose, and community without uniforms or orders. Bruce visits sometimes, teaching guest classes. No press, no cameras, just genuine training, just learning. The same principles, the same honesty. Every session emphasizes technique, respect, and mental discipline. Veterans benefit immediately. Sullivan combines the rigor of military discipline with the philosophy of martial arts. Purpose without war, community without command. They grow stronger, not just physically but mentally and emotionally. Bruce watches quietly during one session, observes Sullivan correcting a stance, offering a principle, showing the application of a technique. He smiles. The friendship forged at Camp Pendleton carries forward. Years of testing, learning, and mutual respect manifest in these moments. Bruce sees the payoff of mentorship not in trophies or accolades, but in impact. In lives changed. In the next generation of disciplined, capable martial artists. Sullivan, too, feels the fulfillment. The foundation laid at the base, the trust, the lessons, the honest sparring, they ripple outward far beyond the gym. The values instilled in him, shared with Marines and veterans alike, become a lasting legacy. By late 1970, Sullivan's school had grown steadily. Veterans teach others. The philosophy spreads. Bruce remains a mentor, a friend, a constant touchstone. Through their work, both men continue to learn. Each class, each correction, each demonstration strengthens their bond. Real combat, real discipline, real friendship all continue to shape them. Los Angeles is busy, chaotic, full of opportunity. But in Sullivan's school, and in the quiet moments with Bruce, the lessons from Camp Pendleton persist. The focus is always on honesty, effort, and respect. From Marine to Hollywood fighter to mentor, Sullivan's journey embodies the real-world impact of dedication, honesty, and the lessons learned from the man who once dared him to punch. Bruce Lee and Sullivan remain linked, a partnership born of mutual challenge, mutual respect, and the enduring power of honest training. May 1971, Thailand. Bruce Lee is on the set of The Big Boss, early mornings, long days, intense stunts. The production is demanding. Cameras, crew, political pressures, choreography, everything is amplified in scale. But before dawn, before anyone else arrives, Bruce is up, waiting in the courtyard, stretching, shadowboxing, moving with precision. And beside him, Sullivan appears promptly at 5 a.m. The two of them have maintained the rhythm established at Camp Pendleton. Early morning, no audience, no press. Just training, real, honest, intense. Sullivan pushes Bruce, keeps him honest, ensures that no stunt choreography dulls the edge of his technique. Bruce respects this implicitly. The years of friendship, of testing each other, of learning from each strike, have built a trust that no camera, no production can replace. After one particularly grueling session, Bruce sits on the steps of the hotel, towel over his shoulders, breathing steadily. You know, he begins, tone quiet, reflective. That day at Pendleton, when you punched me? Sullivan glances at him, curious. That changed everything for me. Sullivan frowns slightly. How? Bruce looks out at the rising sun. It taught me something fundamental. I don't know everything. Every style, every fighter, every approach has value. Getting hit, experiencing real power, it's necessary. Ego kills growth. Humility fuels it. Sullivan nods slowly, remembering the day clearly. The punch, the shock, the lesson. The laughter, the respect. One punch, Bruce continues. Taught me that technique without experience is empty. That speed without understanding is hollow. That confidence without humility is dangerous. They train for another hour, pushing through kicks, combinations, and timing drills. Every strike, every block is grounded in this philosophy. Honesty in combat, honesty in self. Later, in the quiet of the hotel room, Sullivan receives a package from Hong Kong. A letter from Bruce. Inside, a black and white photograph. It shows them in September 1967, Camp Pendleton. Sitting on the canvas, touching their faces, smiling after the punch and kick. No one else in frame. Just two fighters, honest and real. The letter reads, "My friend, this photo reminds me why I do what I do. Not for fame, not for money, for moments like this. Real connection, real testing, real friendship. Keep it. Remember that day. Remember what we learned. The punch, the kick, the laughter, the respect. That's what matters. Everything else is noise. Your friend always, Bruce." Sullivan frames the photo above his school's door. Every student sees it when they enter. Many ask about Bruce Lee, about the story behind that punch, that kick. Sullivan tells them, it wasn't just martial arts. It was honesty, courage to be tested, willingness to be wrong, humility, respect, connection. The photograph becomes a symbol, a reminder of the philosophy Bruce imparted. Not in movies, not in exhibitions, but in a fleeting, honest moment of combat. Bruce reflects during filming, often alone in the early mornings, thinking of that day. Every movement he practices, every student he teaches, every demonstration he gives is informed by the lesson of the punch. Not just technique, but understanding. Not just speed, but awareness. Not just victory, but humility. The legacy of that moment travels far beyond Camp Pendleton or the set of a film. It lives in the Marines, in veterans, in students at Sullivan's school, in anyone who learns that true martial arts is measured by honesty, respect, and the courage to be tested. For Bruce, the punch was never about getting hit. It was about learning, about connection, about legacy. And every time Sullivan sees that photograph, every time a student asks about it, the lesson echoes. Real training, real humility, real friendship, this is what endures. Years later, both men still recall that day vividly, not for fame, not for spectacle, but for the philosophy it instilled, for the moment that shaped the way they approached martial arts, life, and each other. One punch, one kick, one lesson. Lifelong.